Hello and welcome to Love Anything Art. Today I have a fun little heart project for you. I will be using scrap clay for this. I prefer to use a lighter color, something with some white in it. You can have darker areas in there too, just kind of have a little bit of white in there too, or a lighter color, yellows, light green, that sort of thing. And you'll need a good amount of scrap clay. So if you have a lot of scrap clay laying around, you could definitely use this to use some of that stuff up. And you'll want to chop it up. I do love making choppy chop videos. And while I'm doing that, I just want to welcome everybody to my channel. I am very glad that you are here, and I hope that you stick around and watch what I create today. And also, if you would be very kind as to hit that subscribe button. I do make videos every Tuesday, and I have over 200 videos for you to watch. So please consider joining the fun. Thanks. You can chop yours up into big and small, small, big, whatever you want to do. I prefer mine to be a little bit larger with a few little small pieces sprinkled in there. I'm going to use some purple paint. You can use whatever color complements your clay colors. I would recommend just using a darker color, purple, blue, black, that sort of thing. And then get a little bit messy. Put on some gloves, or if you prefer to work with your hands, have at it. I don't like cleaning all that up, so I'm going to work with my gloves here, mixing everything thoroughly. Once I've done that, I will put that onto a clean sheet of paper, and really that's just so that the paper and the clay are both not wet at the same time, kind of saturated. And then just spread it out, and this way hopefully it dries a little bit faster. You do want it to be slightly damp still, you just don't want it to kind of be soaking wet. You want it to stick together, and it works best if the paint is still a little bit wet. If for some reason the clay is not sticking together, you can use a Bacon Bond product, and that should work. Just take the clay that you've chopped up and painted and then roll it up, getting it all stuck together. And I've made a nice little fun cane. You can let that sit there for a few minutes or put it in the freezer just to firm it up a little bit. I'm going to chop off the ends, and I will make something from that in the very end of the video. You do want it to be a rather thicker cane, so I won't be reducing the size of this. It's kind of fun and pretty inside there, just like that, which is why I'm going to use those end pieces for a little project. You want to shave them or cut them, slice them into thinner slices. This is what we're going to use to make the leaf cane. Let's see here, I made several slices through that cane. And I've picked a purple lilac color that I've rolled out into a flat sheet, and this will be the veins that run through the leaf cane. You can choose whatever color you want, kind of experiment and see what you like, maybe choose a darker color. I kind of wish at times that I did go with a darker color. It would have been a little bit more contrast, but I get tired of just using black and white in my projects, so I wanted to add more color to this one. And then you'll just sandwich that color in between two slices. This is mine. It is kind of thin. You can put as many slices as you want in between there to make it a little bit thicker. I do think that I'm going to add a second layer inside there. And that's so when I roll it out, you can kind of still see that purple vein. If it's a really thin sheet in there and you roll it out, you might lose that color kind of in the madness of the cane. And I do roll it out pretty thin, so. I have my purple slices in between. Just gonna give it a gentle roll just to get everything kind of mixed together. And you're gonna wanna cut it at a diagonal, like I'm doing. Just trying to make sure I got it down the middle there. You'll cut that in half. You'll see that's how it went together. And then you just flip it around and voila. You'll also want to put a sheet of the purple clay in between those two slices. Put them back together and just kind of try and line up those center diagonal lines, the leaf lines, so that they kind of would touch at the same spot in the center, and so they're not all off center. And once you have that, you can start reducing your cane. You'll see I made mine pretty small. You can technically make yours as thick, long, or wide as you would like. Just show you there, kind of pinch the end, the top there, and then you get your little leaf cane. I'm going to cut away half and put that aside. I'm going to do something with that in a minute. Cut off a few good sized pieces, a little bit on the thicker side, and then you can start placing those together. I've put several of those together and I've rolled it out and kind of stretched it out just a little bit. And I have this really cool mold. I'll leave a link below if you are interested in this mold. I'm going to be using the heart pattern. I really like the small one, but I think I'm going to go with the larger one there. And to kind of get the flat sheet to stick down in there, you can push your fingers up through the back and kind of get your clay situated where you want it there in all the little crevices. And then you can release your finger from the back and it'll kind of suction cup that right down in there to that hole. And then just make sure you have a nice shape going there, and then start folding over all that excess, trying to fill in as much of the hole as possible. And then these are all my pieces I cut away as I was reducing my cane. You can just put those there and fill up that center. Just make sure you have it nice and pressed down inside of there before cutting it away. And I do like to shave or slice half of it off and go one way and then slice it off and go the other way. I feel like this helps me get a cleaner cut from the back, because sometimes you can kind of gouge into the clay. And so I just found that this works best for me. I like to do it halfway and then go do it the second half. I guess it's easier to control that way, is kind of what I'm trying to say. And then make sure it's nice and pressed down in there and you didn't mess up your little heart shape. And then you can just pop it out. Oh, isn't that so cute? I really like the colors in there. It's got quite a bit going on inside of there. but I like it. You can make the point a little more pointed if you wanted. And I've rolled out some really thin black clay. I'm going to take that cane that I set aside a minute ago, the 1/2, and I'm going to wrap that in the black color. And now I have a cane that's wrapped in black. I wanted to try this out to see if there is a better contrast in the two, which would make a better heart. I will cut off some slices of that and of the other without the border. And then just put those side by side, add a few more, just alternating between the two. And again, I will put that in the mold. And that's my original one, and then that is the one that has the black lines in it. I think I like the original one better, but this one could be kind of fun too. You could do them half and half and make one side one and the other side the other. But ultimately, I think I'm going to make 2 hearts. I'm going to do a little bit more chippy-choppeting. That's a word, look it up, it's in the dictionary, guys. I'm going to use some scrap clay and then a purple color. I just chose the purple color because I thought it looked good with my scrap clay. Hey, yay! So you'll just want to chop those up. I'm going to do them separately. You can do whatever you want, chop them together, separate. You can have one bigger slices than the other and one smaller, whatever you want to do. But ultimately you're going to mix them together, add some more paint. I'm just using the purple that I used before. And of course you're going to mix it together thoroughly. Put it on another piece of paper just to assist in drying a little bit faster. And then you will make that into a cane. This one will be very small because I won't be using a lot of this. And then again, I have rolled out some black clay and it's going to be the border around this. You can use whatever color you want to complement your clay. I will cut that into 4 as even as possible length pieces. You can roll them back out if you want to get them a little bit smoother in shape, but ultimately you're going to kind of manipulate them and make them look like butterfly wings. I'm not really going to show you what I'm doing to them. You can kind of use your imagination and shape them however you want to. However, in your imagination, you think butterfly wings look. This is what came out of my head, so this is what I made. I really love this cane. I love the colors. Just purple, and it kind of looks like it's just like a white kind of a color in there because it's been rolled out pretty thin. But quite pretty. I will need to cut off a slice that's pretty thin. Don't want it to be too thin that it's brittle, but thin enough where it's just not a big, bulky kind of a piece. Manipulate and move around the edges and the rims just to make things come to more of a point or an angle. Basically just playing at this point. I will take the 2 halves of my heart and I will place them together. Just lining it up to make sure that the peaks and valleys there all line up. Make my little point a little bit more prominent. I do like the bottom of my heart to be very pointed, not so much rounded. That's just me. Don't worry about the crack or the seam around it. We will fill that up and you won't be able to see it. I'm going to place my butterfly on top. I really like the contrast in the colors between the two patterns. You can place the butterfly here, there, up there. I'm going to put mine in the middle. I just felt that that was symmetrical and it looked the best. And I have this little crystal gem thing. It's a little pink thing. I thought it looked nice. It has a nice little shine to it. So I'm going to just place that in the very center of my butterfly. And this is going to help attach it to the heart. So it'll stick there permanently forever together. My butterfly and my heart. Oh. And then I will use whatever tools I have laying around here. Kind of manipulate the wings. Make them come to a point. Bend them. Flatten them a little bit. Bend them back. Just kind of angle them until I feel like, you know what? That is the best looking it's ever going to be. And that's it on mine. We are going to hold off on baking. I am going to take some more of the scrap clays that I chopped off during the process of making my canes and just roll it out into a nice long thin snake. And I'm going to attempt to shave off as even as possible little pieces. I'm going to have to make a lot of hearts, and they're going to need to be the same on both sides. So I'm just going to take one. The first one is going to need to be very small. And I will place that on my heart, just sitting it there. And I'll need to go all the way around from one side to the other side, top to bottom, like so. I'm not going to leave these on here. I'm actually going to remove them. But I do need to remove them in the order in which they are placed on there. First, I am going to glitter it up. Every time I see these glitters on screen, I'm just like, why don't I use these more? I just love them. I'm going to pick out a color. It's a purpley, pinky kind of a glitter color there. But you could use any color that complemented your scrap glaze. I have this little measuring spoon. I don't know where I got it from, but it may have been like a coffee measurer spoon at one point, and I didn't want to throw it away. So I'm going to use it to put some glitter in there, and then roll my little tiny balls in there and coat it. You could put this in a big plastic baggie if you wanted, but I kind of want to take off the balls around the clay one at a time. I did make a second one of these before this, and it was a disaster with the balls because I took them off out of order and I could not, for the life of me, figure out how they went back on there. So I'm doing my best to kind of keep them all in order. But I'll go around and do that. Just taking one off at a time, rolling it in the glitter, and then placing it in the pattern of the heart. So now I have my heart and my little glitter balls. I'm taking some metal stick pins that I have, cutting off little tiny sections, and then I'm going to pierce each one of the little balls. Yes, this is kind of tedious. Yes, you can leave this step out if you don't want to do it, but I think it really makes the piece awesome. So it was worth it to me. Just be sure to place them in order. I'm using this little accordion file. After each one, when you go around, just go in order. Either go clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever you want. Just try to keep them in order. All right, so I finished that. And again, we're gonna hold off on baking the heart. So I'm just setting that aside, trying not to mess it up. And I will put that in the oven and bake it. Okay, I've baked mine, taken them off the baking sheet, and I've placed them back in there in the order in which they came off my heart. So I recommend starting at the top or the bottom and just working your way around. I have laid mine out so that I made sure exactly where they're supposed to go. The top one, the top, and the bottom for the bottom point. Each one of those you'll need to pierce into the clay, getting them as close to the previous one as possible so that the balls are touching all the way around with no spaces and you don't see the stick pins. You can go from side to side so that you meet up at the top in the middle at the same time, or you can just go around clockwise or counterclockwise. All right, one more step before baking. I do need to put in my finding so that I can attach it to my necklace. I'm using that bail, and then I've just made a loop with a stick pin. And I'm going to put that as close to the middle at the top behind the ball as possible. And while that bakes, I'm going to just take that cane piece that I cut off earlier and kind of just give it a nice flatten, just to stretch it out a little bit, just to make it go a little bit further. And I'm going to use the small hearts this time. And I'm going to make a necklace that has a heart on the front and the back, kind of stuck together like the big one. And then just take two small ones and make little heart earrings. So now I have a little mini set. I really like it. Okay, so that's done baking. Now the difficult part is to go around and glue all of those little balls in, and you will have some pop off as you go. So just keep them in order, and I would do it again one at a time, taking one off, putting it back on so that you get each one back in the hole that it's supposed to be. Just remove the ball from one side, put a little glue on there, and then put your little glitter ball back on there as snug as you can. Just remove any excess super glue you might get on there. And then place glue on the other side. And then place it back in. And you'll do that all the way around. I have finished mine, and then I'm going to put some resin on there. I did try on the previous one to resin each individual ball, but after it took me forever for like a few of them, I was like, nope. So I put them all back in, and then I'm just gonna resin them while they're on the heart. Just try my best not to get any on the heart because I don't want it on there. I just want it on the little glitter balls. That and the glitter will fall off and come off over time, so you want to seal it in there. And if you did put a gem in yours, do be sure to either glue it in, or you can do like I'm doing and use resin as a glue. And you'll resin the butterfly, and then of course the center part too, so you can put that little gem back in there. And I'm only going to resin the top part of the butterfly. I'm not resining like the sides or underneath or the heart or anything. Just keeping it as simple as possible, and you don't really need to resin the clay because nothing in there really needs to be sealed. And just put that gem back in there before curing your piece. And be sure to glue in your eye hook. And I'm just assembling my stuff here. And I had quite a bit of cane left, and I did make a whole bunch of other things. I didn't film those. They were pretty basic, but I did make quite a few pieces from this, and I was quite happy with them. They look really pretty. I just placed mine on a simple black cord, and this is the one I filmed doing. And then of course I did make a second one. The difference between these two is that black line in the middle and also the little pink balls around the outside with glitter. The inside is black, so you can tell that they are darker than the other ones. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!